to me and I'll share to lesson.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Let me first close this. Yes. Okay, so we were why this hash has been added. So every time if the hash is different, right? So now earlier it was app.js1, now it's app.js2. So browser don't have that cache, right? So it will always be asking a new website every time. So that's why we have this. Okay, so so that's all. So we also you want to also know about the performance tab. So later we can go about the performance tab. So basically how this website is. So people usually ask about this, not about the performance tab, but the lighthouse. People mostly ask this question for a front end. So what the lights house score means and how we analyze this. This is very asked question, right? Now there is also memory. This is also again not asked much question, but you should be always aware about this. So performance I will tell you later, and the lighthouse also I will tell you later, because these are very related, and this is about the how your page's speed is, how it's looking. So if you it's basically give a score to every page, how it should be performing based on everything, these things. Right? Let me, if I quickly analyze that. So I will be tell you later how to read also. And also if you nowadays create a React, so basically this is about the React also. So we will also get there. So nowadays if you create an app using CRA, so there will be something called Web Vitals. Not sure if Code Sandbox allowed that or not. So basically what the Web Vital is, so see these are the scores, right? And how it's been calculated and everything, we will deal it later. So I will cover performance and lighthouse later. And memory is this is also a very important thing. So, like every tab is consuming some memory and you can get it from there, the memory tab, right? And you must have heard some term somewhere, not in the website, I'm not sure, but you must have memory leak application in a C++ or any Java people usually do about that. Have you heard this term, memory leak?
No, I haven't heard the memory leak application.
Okay, so I will quickly, what I will do, I will quickly give also, I will just note it down, and I will also give you an example of that also that we did. So basically what happens is basically any application, if you go about C, C++, Java, any like general purpose program languages, so they have something called delete operator. Have you know, right? Yeah, delete operator in C++, right? So basically what happen is when we declare, like when I do var a equals to apple, right? What happens is it's consuming some space in a memory, right? All right. Now let's suppose if I create memory, but it's not never been deleted, what will happen? We will accommodate the space, right?
Yes.
So I have var a, then I define any other variable. Like if you basically go to your code also, Vue.js1 or any like Reactjs, Angular. So we declare many variables. If they stayed, even if I change the pages, right? Let's suppose if I change the page, they should be deleted, right? Right? Or some point of time, if they are not being deleted, what you will have, this has been increasing and decreasing. You see the green arrow, right?
Yeah.
So this should change always. And if I do some action, it should increase, not increasing because it's increased by 11. mostly with single page application, it's quietly does not increase. But if you, depending on, if you, especially if you are building an admin application, so there is too much of thing, so this will increase.
Yeah.
So they will basically give you what memory your application is using, and it will also help you the memory leak situation. So you can detect memory leak is leaking in your application or not. It's a very much concept for others, but what happened with JS is we call it something called garbage collected language. So basically, whatever we define a var will be automatically be collected. We don't need to worry about how it will be deleted, how will my I will deallocate the memory. So that's we can that's all about the memory. But I will give you an example later. I will give an example how this situation arises. This is also a very good thing that's nowadays asked in a many application, especially the term about PWA. If you heard about PWA, right? Progressive web application, right?
Yeah.
So that's also, but this is also something, if you especially work for PWA, this is a very important tab for you application. So everything, most of the thing reside here. So most important thing is manifest, right? For any PWA, you should have an app manifest that will tell like what the identity is, what the name is, short name, and these icon, the colors, right? So this is manifest, right? So we will not go in detail, but basically manifest is I'm not sure how long you have been in India, but you heard about something called manifestation, right? Uh, Basically politician declare a manifestation before election.
Yeah.
Right? So basically what manifestation means is like what I am promising you, right? Something like that, right? So basically it's overall structure of, right? So if you also do any other programming, mostly like Android, so there is also something called Android manifest file. So basically it's about everything about the entire application. So we have to declare manifest file. So that's that in application tab. Now there is something called service worker. It does not have service worker, but service worker is also a very important thing. That is also related to again to the PWA. Probably this website has a service worker. Yes, because we had made some. No, okay. Yeah. If you see these website like Code Sandbox, right? Especially the Code Sandbox has many service worker. And what basically is does is you must have heard about term JS is a single threaded language, right?
JS in a
Single threaded language. JavaScript is a single threaded language. There is no multi-thread concept. Right? If you're not sure if you've done any other language, they have multi-thread, but it's a single threaded language. So we also so what happens is if you want something to be not be, so basically everything we call is a main thread. I will again cover it, but after the JS part is over, then I will also cover about something called event loop and these web workers, service worker. Basically service worker, it is an other thing that keeps on running. You see it says I have these things as running, right? So this will, even if I close the tab, not close the tab, but sometime even if I close the tab, this will again keep on running. Let me refresh this. See, this is still running. Right now, you how basically, so these are something that runs parallelly. It's not block the main thread where everything has been working. So it's a other thing. This is again the storage. So it's every storage that I have used. Local storage, I guess you already know, right? Right, we store some variables here. Local storage or set element. Session storage is also something, but now people does not use it, right? Index DB is again very important thing, but again it's for something called again it's come to play on a PWA. So what happens is there is no query language, something like that, right? Have you somewhere in down the line you have heard about SQL and something, tried anything like
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So
SQL.
basically, right. So one thing is also the storage. Actually, the local storage has limit around 5 MB. If you have not heard about it, so it has a limit. So if you store something beyond 5 MB, around 5 MB, that's also depend on the browser. It will start throwing you an error. But and also there is some limitation. You can't store photos here. Simple thing, right? It's only can store JS, right? There is no binary storage. But IndexedDB, you can store binary, but there is a special format for that. It's actually not a binary, but we can literally store anything, and that too in a key value manner, right? So we can query that actually. So that's IndexedDB. So WebSQL is not used nowadays. If you even go to MDN, okay. So it's deprecated. That earlier WebSQL was introduced, but now we have IndexedDB. And one thing I guess already told you, if you do anything, just do MDN web SQL. I already do MDN and then search for this IndexedDB. Right? The first suggestion is says IndexedDB because web SQL nobody use this web SQL. Yeah, see the web SQL is deprecated. So that's not nobody will ask, but like browser has to deal with very old thing also, right? Because something backward compatibility, that's why we still have cookie. You already know, right? All the cookie that we store. Trust token and internet groups again is a very relative thing. The same people does not use, but if you want to use, and this is also cache storage, backward forward cache. So basically cache is again, it's not that cache that this cache we have heard about is a different cache. When we work in a PWA setting, so we want to cache some pages, so that's when we do that thing, it will be cached here. I don't have like even if you check the what we call that and the list of topic that I have shared, there is no cache in that PWA because, but I will still not cover the cache and how PWA work, but I will still give you an introduction of IndexedDB and a simple cache. But because that's entirely a different thing and nobody asks you in the interview unless you tell them like I have a word on PWA. So these are also background fetch, background sync. These mostly related to the service worker. So if you check service worker, so these statuses, if you see these keeps on fetching something, so we can also have something in the background fetch. So this is also not important. And push messaging nowadays, you or the push messaging is there, right? Security is again the HTTPS, and you can see the certificate. Lighthouse, we already told, we will get into detail. Basically, it's give you score. Recorder is nowadays you can record and common actions. It's experimental also. Performance insight is also something experimental. You not mention that. Here in network, I will go again and I will ask you more detail because it's something very used. So you already know all is all is all, right? So everything will be shared. Fetch and XHR is an API call that will make, right?
Yeah.
White is XHR, you know XHR?
Yeah.
It's no issues nowadays. People does not even use it, but people usually ask XHR and fetch. So it's a earlier form of calling the name. JS, CSS, image, media is anything. Font, you already know, like font also. Many font we load. It's in doc is the document file. Now there is new things like WS. W is for WebSockets. Okay. WebSocket, and WebSocket is basically mostly website is a one-way connection. If you hit a website, it's a one-way connection. You call a request, you get the request, right? But let's suppose you want to make a real-time application, like a chat application. How that work, right? So what chat application work is, in short, if I have a chat application and I chat, like let's say I and you are chatting, right? I send hi. and you typed hello, right? Now how my browser or how my code know like you have typed hello? There is no way, right? Me even, I guess, till now what you have done is you have called the API and get the response.
Yes.
But how you know like someone has from the other side has typed something? There is no way, right?
Yeah.
So there is some earlier what people use something called polling, right? Polling is like every 5 seconds I will call an API and check, okay, do I have any other message? Do I have any other message? Do I have any other message? But that is very memory consuming and also like very bad thing. Like your battery will die in a few seconds only. So what WAC is WebSocket, it will make a two-way connection. So two-way connection is, for two-way connection we have the WebSocket. So we will also not deal it in detail in later, but I'm just telling you WebSocket is the two-way connection for any website. So in that case, if you go to any chat application, they're probably using WebSocket. So what happen if I type hi, it will go there. And now the website will not call any API to get the reply. Now, if you type hello, right, your server will send the request to the browser. This is a very weird thing, right? Server usually does not call the browser, right? In this case, WebSocket, the connection is always two-way. So now that server will basically send a message to your this thing. I can. I guess it does not require login. It's required login. Okay, no issues. So basically, mostly website that works on two-way is AWS. WASM is new thing as WebAssembly. That's also not used. Manifest, I already told the manifest JSON. It's just a JSON file that has everything. So just a JSON file, nothing else. Other is for others and blocked keys, all this thing. Right. Now the questions also someone might ask is something if you how this works. So if you load this, the first is it's load the HTML, it's load the CSS, it's parse the HTML, it's parse the CSS. HTML goes to DOM, CSS goes to CSS DOM. They are combined, then we have a render, the post render, and then something called the first print. So that's also one important thing for browser. So if I go here, I'm on all. Okay, now I have all. Now see it very careful, not very careful, but okay. Now this is called DOM content loaded. You you heard you know about this?
Yeah. How
Oh,
much time it takes?
right. And the load time, right? So basically, this is the time everything is been loaded and your browser is been active. In the same way, there is also called first paint when and first interactive. So basically, these again go to the web vital thing. So when this works. In browser context, there is nothing more. There is one more thing in browser context people usually ask is for I'm not sure how we have that plugin or not. It's called live server. I have this. Okay, that's great. Let me just make it quickly on a file. Okay, done body. Let's have just H1. So rest of my idea is we will be doing it on local. Maybe I can create a repo and share you on. I will directly. I have not yet decided. I will go with this method or I will just directly go to the code sandbox. Now what happens is how it's loaded. So people usually have a script tag. So people go about this as an icon here. So people in especially in output question, people do ask this. So what is this and how does this work? If you want to give your chances, you can ask first. You can want any suggestion, so you can do also that. So basically, what happens is this. I'm not sure. Have you worked on something called jQuery or other languages? Also, there is a method called document. Have you heard about any document? Listener. So basically, what happens? There is in JavaScript, right? That I want to load, right? So if I do, for example, simple document that then by ID, and I just give an ID of ID equals a m. M. Now if I go this and go to console, I see hey, right? Okay, what machine? See, this is also maintaining a WebSocket connection because whenever I do a change, it will automatically do a thing. So there should be a WebSocket connection, and if you see, this is called messages. So now there is only one down arrow. So that means the browser has sent a request. If I do something change here, now you will see a green message also. Now, okay, no issues. So that's leave apart. So basically, what we call it, it's not ID custom. So basically, this is called immediately invoked function call. So what usually happens is if I write some code, right, and my browser is not loaded, so I might encounter some error. Mostly if I wanted to get an element, some element, and that element is still not present in my DOM, right? Because it's not loaded or anything like that. So we try to get an error usually. But if I write it like this, so this basically means this function is defined, right? This part is function definition, right? And after definition only I am calling it, right?
Immediately.
Right, right. So this question might be asked. So it's immediately invoked function, right? So people usually IIF or IIFC, they ask this question. Right. And yeah, also if you want, I can cover, but I usually will ask you. I can share a reference. So people do also ask about tags, right?
Yeah.
Right, some tags. So like mostly this tag is being asked mostly. Two tags people ask about the question. Like here is in the lang attribute, right? And it's not there, and this viewport attribute. Okay. So I will just cover the viewport. If you want, you can take a rest. There are like many. Let me go any responsive website. This is a responsive website, guys. Now, what happens with viewport? Now, if I go, yeah. see the sidebar initially disappeared and the
Mhm.
text size increases and everything is working as
Yep.
in
Yep.
it should work.
Mhm.
Now there is a simple change I will do and it will stop working. So that's basically what the viewport does is
Viewport is at the top, like past.
again,
Yeah,
yeah,
meta. Yeah.
we'll just delete that. Still it's working, maybe it's loaded, that's why. But basically what it's still working. So basically what viewport it means is how I'm viewing it, and it's setting my initial scale as in 0, right?
Mhm.
Because I can zoom in. Let me try with 5. It's not working, but basically I have to write a CSS around this. So basically this is a very important tag also. So people usually ask about the viewport. It just give like what the initial scale will be, what will be the width, what is the width of my device. So that's only this thing. People only ask about this, and some if you are asking about SEO or applying somewhere like that deals with an SEO, because in front end we usually have two application. One is a user facing and one is admin facing. So if I go here after I sign in, whatever it is an admin facing kind of thing, right? Because people will be only those people will be interacting with those application who has buy the subscription, and we can make whatever we want. But for this thing there is an we should know a little bit about if we I want to design this, if I want to work on this, I must know a little about SEO also, right? So just give a read about the tags, and I will also try to share more tags that have been asked in this.
Sure.
Okay. So I would say just this for now. Next, after the browser, like you already know everything about the browser. One more thing, you know about the breakpoints and everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I can skip that also.
Mhm.
So yeah, we can directly start from next session. Whenever we have, we can directly start from the coding.
Sure.
And you also know we can do like search for anything like that here, and we can add a breakpoint, and we will more cover later. But this is basically source tab. I skipped reading. You want have any specific question about any specific thing?
No specific question as of now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I will go through all this document once again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll revise the docs.
Okay. For good there. Because for the browser part, I'm not going to cover it. Uh, People usually don't ask it unless you have told them that I have used this. So earlier I give you an example, like we still have navigator, right? And so this series tell everything about the navigator, right? It has everything. There is a navigator and there is a window, right? Window is my website and navigator is this browser. So if I do navigator uh, dot geolocation, right? So now browser also is capable of detecting the geolocation, right? So that is a geolocation. Then we have also share API nowadays. If you have to share something, like we do a share in I guess phone. Same thing is in there. There is an also battery API. Bluetooth API also now is there. So I can also control Bluetooth from my website. I'm not sure if you heard about this. You can also check your battery status. Earlier it was not possible. So usually in browser we have two things. That is navigator, the browser itself, and then we have window, my website.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but not going in detail about navigator because again it's very specific to the job role you are applying.
Yeah, sure,
People
sure.
usually don't ask about geolocation.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all about the browsers and everything. And you already know about ECMA 6, so I have not explained
Mhm.
those things. And yeah, one more thing, you will know about the JavaScript engine, right?
Mhm.
You know,
JS engine.
right?
Yep. Can you tell me a
Okay,
little
so
bit about it?
basically, yeah, we will go more step how, but in short, basically what has is, so JS is an interpreted language, it's not compiled
Mhm.
language, right?
Mhm.
Also, JS is a single-threaded language, right? Still, it can
Mhm.
do synchronous and asynchronous tasks. There's a later thing we will cover. So it's a single-threaded, only one thread is there. Second
Mhm.
thing is also it's interpreted language. It's not compiled language. Compiled language, if you
Mhm.
write code compiled into the bytecode or somewhere code, and there will get an exe and run that.
Yeah.
But it's an interpreted language. But the interpretation should be done by someone, right? Or there
Mhm.
must be something called compiler. If you heard about the compiler, right? That compiles our code to some native code that we can run, right?
Yep. Yep.
So what the browser have to pass the JS, right? To pass the JS, we need something called JavaScript engine. We usually give this name of JavaScript engine.
Mhm.
Why? Basically, that engine or that compiler, it's not compiler, we can call it transpiler. So basically, what is
Mhm.
that? Is it's has all the logic, like what var means, everything.
Yep. Yep.
So, right. So people usually don't ask, but remember this term V8. Chrome V8 because it's mostly used and people usually talk about this.
Mhm.
So Chrome V8 is an JavaScript engine for Chrome, right?
Okay.
There are also like for Edge there is Chakra, and for
Mhm.
Firefox there is Spider Monkey. But usually people don't ask, but just you you will
Yeah.
encounter this
Sure.
term V8 more.
Mhm.
So it's basically just a JavaScript engine. So many, like I guess I skipped that part. So basically, browser has some parts, right?
Mhm.
So even if you see the network tab, um, it has WebKit something on the header, right?
Mhm.
Right. Twist header. Um, so basically, Apple WebKit and this Chrome Gecko, everything. So
Mhm.
basically, in short, browser has two main parts. There's many n number parts. One is called rendering engine and other is called JavaScript engine. These two are
Mhm.
very important part.
Okay.
JavaScript engine is for JavaScript parsing. That's we are V8 is for the Chrome, and
Mhm.
there is a rendering engine called WebKit. WebKit for both. Yeah, WebKit. This is being used by both Safari and Chrome both. And there's some other, yeah, Gecko is used by
Mhm.
Firefox, right? And so these two, just remember the term. No required any explanation. I will share a
Yeah.
doc where you
Yeah.
can read more about this, but not
Sure.
required. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me.
No, 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 nothing. My stand-up is gonna start in 10 minutes. So
Okay. Okay.
just
So
yeah.
let's connect. So we will start
Tomorrow.
coding from next
Mhm.
session. Okay.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.